The newest wave of Heroes of the Realm Magic the Gathering cards have started to appear. Not only are these cards incredibly interesting, but they're also incredibly rare. How rare? I'll put it to you this way. You will never own a Heroes of the Realm card in your entire life.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well because we are here to take a look at some glorious new Magic cards, specifically Heroes of the Realm cards. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept behind Heroes of the Realm, I'm going to give you a little bit of background information. It's a really cool program that Wizards of the Coast has where they essentially look at different departments working on Magic and other projects and say, hey, we're going to make reward cards for you. So, as I mentioned, these cards are incredibly rare. A lot of these cards have less than 10 copies that exist worldwide because the amount of cards that are created are actually based on the size of the team working on the project. So if you were making some popcorn themed Magic stuff and they decided to make a popcorn themed Magic card and there was only 3 people on your team, they would only make 3 copies of the card, right? And they never make these available for like general purchase. You can't buy them through exclusive secret layers or going to a convention. You can only get these by being a Wizards of the Coast employee. And so as a result, very few of these cards ever actually end up in the hands of people who aren't Wizards of the Coast employees. And when they do, they cost absurd amounts of money. Hence why at the beginning of the video, I said that you would never own these cards. Now, yes, I understand there may be 1 or 2 people watching this video who are so rich that I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna go and spend $50,000 and get someone to sell me one of these cards. Fine, then the intro doesn't apply to you specifically. But for the rest of us, like me, we're never gonna have these cards, which is a real shame because they are absolutely cool. Now, this right here is what the back of a Heroes of the Realm card looks like. I figure you're never going to get the opportunity to see it in real life, so take a good look at the back of it now. You'll notice that it shares a lot of similarities with a normal Magic the Gathering card, but also has a number of places where it diverges from the normal design. So, the similarities are the outer rectangle, the little dots that are in the corner, and the oval in the center. And the differences are it's missing the Magic the Gathering logo on the back. Instead, it has Wizards of the Coast's logo. And below that, where you would normally find the 5-pointed magical, here are your different colors of the game, instead, you have Heroes of the Realm. So, as I said, I think this is a really cool program. Let's take a look at the first card we have to view, which is the Secret Lair. Now, I'll give you a moment to try and guess what project do you think people were working on who were rewarded with Secret Lair cards? I don't know, maybe Secret Lairs? I do love how on the nose it is, literally calling it the Secret Lair, right? And I also love the way that the legendary border looks on this card in particular. I really think that Wizards of the Coast made a great choice by including those legendary borders because it is a visual shorthand that lets you know you're looking at a legendary card before you even get to the type line, right? And theoretically, I guess we could get to the point where they could actually remove the word legendary or legend from that line and just have it signified by the actual name box, right? To give them more space down there on the type line. But either way, this is a legendary land that also happens to be a lair. Magic the Gathering already has lair lands, so this fits snugly in that concept right there, but also works pretty well because it's literally a secret lair. Now, this card is really good. Look at what it does. It taps for a colorless mana, or tap it, say the secret word, add 1 mana of any color, scry 1, you gain 1 life. So, absolutely bonkers, first of all. Say the secret word. well, what is the secret word, right? Do you know the secret word? Do you make it up yourself? Like, what is it? Is it magic? That's the first question I have literally is, when they created this card, what was the secret word meant to be? As somebody who owns this card, like if there's only a handful of people, let's say there's 12 people working on the Secret Lair team, then there's only a dozen people who have this card and would know the secret word, but you could just say whatever you wanted it to be, right? But this card is insane. It gives you a mana of any color, scries for 1, and you gain 1 life. So the idea is you can draw mana from it if you haven't been like brought in and taught the secrets of the place. But if you know the secrets, if you can open up your inner eye, then all of a sudden you're going to gain magical knowledge by scrying. You can tap into every color of mana, and it extends your life, just like a Fountain of Youth gives you a life, right? So it is a really cool concept, and I also absolutely love the artwork. This is done by Wizard of Barge. If you're not familiar, he's actually the one who did the, what was it called? The Prime Slime Secret Lair. So all the cards were done. It does have a, it's got somewhat of a mix between Rick and Morty, and there's this one like wizard board game, like card game, that also has this kind of distinctive art style. But there is a lot going on in the artwork. You have this wizard in the background with the smile on their face and their wavy sacrificial dagger. Oh, you know what? I never noticed the little path leading into the middle is green. Oh, wait a minute. I know what the secret word is. This is Wizards of the Coast, my friends. The secret word is cash. Money is also acceptable. That's how you get to the center of this secret lair. You gotta walk down the green mile, man. Oh, wait a minute. That's not a good walk. Walking, boss. You know, did you guys get that reference? Anyhow, the secret word is cash, baby. So you got this path leading down to the center where you can see there's a ton of these little cultists. At first, for some reason, I thought they were little statues. But yeah, you can see them kind of filing in from these different pathways, coming in under these crazy eyes. And the eyes actually kind of make it feel like the pit in the middle is like its mouth. And you've got these gigantic, spiky death balls hanging down from above. You got the big wizard statues off to the side. All these crazy prismatic patterns kind of scattering shards outwards. It's got an awesome vibe to it. And you got that skull in the foreground as well, with a little like demon spirit flying through it, but he's got a smile on his face. He's like, I love rituals like that. I love refrigerators. I'm reference man today. Either way, I dig this a lot. Now, look down at the bottom. You'll notice this is card 3 out of 3. There are only 3 cards for this year's Heroes of the Realm. And hearing me say this year, when you look at the year down there, may be confusing because it says Heroes 2020. Well, Wizards does everything in a confusing fashion. When it comes to core sets, they do them a year out like it's a vehicle. So it's like, is it 2021? It's core set 2022. Is it the hero stuff? Well, that's 2020 because they're always basically playing catch up. So all the cards will actually be referencing something from the previous year. It's a little bit weird, but rest assured, this is the newest wave of these cards. Now, we don't have all 3 to look at. We only have 2. So let's take a look at the second one. This one is called Mountain Mover. And you can see this is actually a picture taken of the genuine card, whereas the previous image was a digital image, which looks a lot better. This one is somewhat faded out, but what are you going to do? So Mountain Mover is 1 red and 2 for a 5/3 artifact vehicle. And you can see from the artwork that it literally is some kind of airship contraption with 2 gigantic zeppelins. And I have to admit, I'm a huge fan of airships. I always have been since the original days where I was first introduced to the concept in Final Fantasy II, which I guess if you're from Japan is actually Final Fantasy IV. But in Final Fantasy II, they had these airships flying along, and it always just like blew my mind. It's funny because we have airplanes in the real world, right? But airships are just something different because they shouldn't really work. So they have to be held aloft by magic, and that's what makes them really cool to me. But anyways, Mountain Mover is 1 red and 2 for a 5/3 vehicle with flying and haste. Whenever Mountain Mover enters the battlefield or attacks, put a mountain card from outside the game underneath it. That's a weird concept to begin with, right? You're going to have a stack of mountains off to the side, and as soon as it comes up, slap a mountain under it. Whenever you swing with it, slap a mountain under it. It's like, okay, to what purpose? Well, when Mountain Mover leaves the battlefield, put all cards underneath it onto the battlefield. And it's got a crew of 3. And honestly, personally, what I want to believe is I want to believe that it's got crew 3 because there was 3 people specifically on whatever team it was that was responsible for this particular project. Now, this one isn't as obvious. The secret lair is very clear. They're working on secret lairs. But with Mountain Mover, it's more of a nebulous concept, right? This might be something that was given to, let's say, an operations group, like a group that's in charge of managing all kinds of different projects, making things happen. So as a result, you end up with this situation where, okay, it's not as cut and dry with secret lairs, but Mountain Mover really does come across as a concept of people who are capable of accomplishing incredible tasks, right? Because that is, if you're not familiar with the phrasing really, moving mountains is known as not quite doing the impossible, but something that would seem near impossible. So this is meant to be a reward for people who have done something really important at Wizards of the Coast, or possibly even multiple things. But I really like that as a concept. The idea of like, look, you guys are mountain movers. Ultimately, I mean, if you really dive into the flavor a little too much, it gets a bit morbid where you go, wait a minute, these mountains only really get like finished moving when the mountain movers are gone. So it's like we move the mountains and they're finished moving when you fire us, or even worse, when our lives end. You know what I mean? Like if you take the flavor too far, it's like, whoa, Wizards. Okay, calm it down. Is this a threat on my job? That's what they do. They create Heroes of the Realms cards that are just meant to make people fearful for their employment. Okay. Anyhow, I want to take a moment to comment since we're talking about the aesthetics of the card. I really do like, again, the visual cue that this is a vehicle with the wooden like paneling that goes around the outside of the card, along with the metal bands that are kind of like riveted on there. I like that as a way to denote that this is a vehicle. So, as I said, the artwork is depicting airships here, right? And they are literally moving a mountain over what appears to be Ravnica. If you take a look at the building style, originally when I saw that it was a vehicle and I saw the airship there, I thought to myself Kaladesh, but then I realized that Kaladesh airships don't have these spinning kind of rotors, and I've never seen a doubled up airship for Kaladesh, but it's really the buildings. When you look here, you don't see anything that speaks of Kaladesh in terms of filigreed buildings or any kind of weird twisting flowing metal. Instead, you see the like European style buildings with all the different spires, and you can see that they extend onwards in every direction. You can't see a part of the artwork that really doesn't feature these spires, and this is Ravnica. Ravnica is the endless city. Almost all of Ravnica is a giant city, right? There is not much in terms of wilds. I believe virtually all of Ravnica had been civilized, and then the Gruul, because they're like, nature, blah, 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 we're gonna tear down civilization. They've like ripped down certain parts of it, and there's some kind of wildlands that they live out in, but almost all of Ravnica is full-on city, which shows why you would need something like this, why you would need a mountain mover. It makes me think of, do you know when you're taking like a house and you have it on a flatbed truck, you're literally moving a house from one location to another, and they have to like map out the route, and sometimes it requires like moving telephone poles and stuff away from the road. Like it's a huge costly endeavor, but you can move literal gigantic things that are too big. You'd think you couldn't normally move them. It's got that kind of a vibe. It's almost like picking up a house and flying it, but it makes you wonder, what is the purpose here? Is some Ravnican noble with insane wealth, basically like, I want to have a huge statue commissioned of me, and it's like, we're going to need a massive boulder for that. It's like, okay, I'm going to pay to have a gigantic chunk of a mountain or the entirety of a mountain flown in. What? Imagine that. Imagine being so rich and living in Ravnica and everything is spires and it's all neat and orderly and you just want some untamed nature. So you literally pay to have an entire mountain flown in to put into your gigantic spacious backyard. So you can be like, check it out. My backyard is wild. The Grow would love to hang out here. This is a really cool concept. It does make me wonder though, like, what about chunks breaking off of this and raining down as debris? I mean, look at the size of it. You can see there are other airships that are smaller around it, and you can also see there are a bunch of birds flying underneath it to give you an idea of the height and also the scale of this perspective. This is a really funky card. I'm not sure like how I feel about it in terms of like gameplay aspect. I guess if you put it out, swung with it a couple times and had a way to sack it, it would accelerate you. But when I think of like a red deck using this and trying to get in fast and hard, it just feels to me like, the extra lands, how much more are they going to do for you? So it's a cool concept, but it doesn't seem like nearly as powerful as the Secret Lair card did. Anyhow, these are the two cards I had to show you. One more will be showing up in the future, and we'll take some time to talk about that as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Big thank you to all my patrons for supporting my channel. It really means a lot. And I did want to mention that YouTube has recently reduced the reach of a number of YouTube channels, including mine. So if you'd like to help out, sharing the video around, liking it, all that kind of interaction does help. Thanks for coming by. See you next time.